When Terra Essentia was created, gods, demigods, and titans came from other planes and ruled the land. It was a time of extremes in everything, and power was left unchecked. So beings of impossible power ceaselessly squabbled, and the world bore the marks of these struggles. Now, the only thing that can actually kill a god is another god, and as events escalated, the first casualties began to occur. The casualties were lesser gods at first, but then one day, after a band of powerful beings banded together, a greater god was felled. This god's name was Kronos, and he was the god of time, as you might imagine. With his death, the timeline changed from being infinitely expanding to a closed loop forever. Both the beginning and the end of the world were now marked with a sundering, what we called the first sundering of the world. Without Kronos to maintain the integrity of time, this was the only structure that could be used to hold the world together. Unfortunately, while this was supposed to be a closed system, it didn't factor in the will of mortals. Every time the timeline loops, it branches into multiple parallel strands based on the decisions of mortals. This created instability in the timeline, as you might imagine, and gave rise to a steward of the timeline, Sindor, who was tasked with controlling continuity. Sindor created for himself a daughter, whom he named Kirid, which means understanding, and she became the keeper of fate for the mortals, while Sindor used all of his powers to keep the time from tearing itself apart. Kirid's job was pretty simple: observe the mortals, write down their fates in the Tablet of Fates, and inform Sindor of the results so he could plan the next loop better, always trying to eliminate as many inconsistencies and changes as possible. Kirid was made mortal, however, in order to better understand the mortal she observed. But she was placed in the timeless plane of Mechanus to do her work so she never aged. Sindor became increasingly annoyed with mortals and the constant amount of work they made for him, and so he hatched a plan. The two greater gods remaining, the Resonator and Deep Echo, had been fighting over Terra Essentia for a millennium now, with no ground being given to either side. Sindor had spoken to the Resonator about his dilemma and his desire to remove the mortals from the plane, but the Resonator refused to listen. So the Resonator was all about synergy, and Deep Echo was about unification, you see. So Sindor went to Deep Echo, and with him hatched a plan to help the mortals destroy themselves and let synthetics rule the plane. When Sindor excitedly told Kirid of his plans, she wept for the people she spent her life watching and understanding. She begged for him to change his mind, but Sindor would not listen, so Kirid did the only thing she could do: she left. Using some powerful time magic stolen from her father, she left Mechanus and made a tiny realm outside of time for herself called the Omega Nexus. Her realm was indeed tiny, which fortunately made it very difficult to locate, and it consisted primarily of Kirid's favorite bagel shop. Now, she didn't have much power of her own, she was only mortal after all, but with her stolen shard of power, she did have the ability to continue to view the timeline and enter and exit at will. In order to preserve mortal life, she began collecting assets, usually people she believed she could trust to help her in her goal. And thus, at a cute little bagel shop at the outside of time, the Omega Corps was founded. Their goal was simple: foil the plans of Sindor and Deep Echo, and preserve mortal life on the plane. Unfortunately, not everyone Kirid came into contact with was as altruistic as she was. Her agents were sometimes hunted for their Omega loops due to their time magic and the power that could bring someone. Sometimes even her own agents would turn against the cause and begin using their powers for their own gain. During the second sundering, the mortals of the Conclave of Magic went so far as to kill all of her agents and even break the Tablets of Fate, thus allowing a near desolation of all the mortal races with the Spell Plague, a particularly nasty concoction by Sindor. Despite all these setbacks, Kirid had kept up the good fight and ever seeks to save us all from ourselves. Alright, so the year is 682 SS, which is second sundering for those of you who don't know. Ianthe, you recently begun your first ever land expedition to study the ruins of a place called the 10th City in Balkreath. Legend says that this entire land used to be largely underwater and home to the Waterfolk, and they did freakish experiments with genetics and techno-magical research here. It's hard to imagine the Great Salt Desert as a place teeming with life, especially aquatic life. You were sent here by your mentor, Amaris Marin, as a way to get your feet wet, or dry in this case, when it came to understanding the peoples and the land better. You've always been well adept at studying underwater ruins or shipwrecks, but was always hesitate to venture so far away from the comfort of the water. Your mentor was delayed due to an injury with some local sea pirates, but should be on the mend and be able to join you in a day or two. You've been staying with some local villagers that live just outside of the ruins. When you leave your room and head out for your first morning, you greet the innkeeper you had dinner with the night before, and he gives you a blank look and doesn't seem to remember you. Man, these landwalkers are quite rude and forgetful. You make your way to the ruins and begin mapping and taking notes of all you find there. After nearly a full day of scouting around, collecting samples and complex artifacts, you see a glint in the sand. Curiously, you bend down and pick up a strange ring with what looks to be a large number 8 ornately carved into it. As you examine it, you clean it off to get the grit off the carving, and a wave of nausea hits you and you go to the ground, your bearings, and you begin to hurl. Something bumps into you, and then something steps on you, knocking you onto your face. You hear some people shouting in a language you don't recognize, and you roll over onto your back, groaning. You look up and see a crowd of sapient amphibious creatures of all sorts bustling around you, and above you is a large dome with water above it. You appear to be on a highly trafficked walkway in a market area. You drop the ring in your hand in surprise, but then catch it again, and as you do so, you watch all of it vanish, going back to the ruins you were in before. Some birds are soaring up in the sky and appear to be coming to land nearby, and they're increasing in speed. You yelp and dodge out of the way just as several metal objects crash into the ground and begin sprouting mechanical legs. They begin to take shape and turn towards you right as you smell the scent of freshly made bagels and hear the giggle of a little girl, and then all is gone. The year is 586 SS. Cassie, your most recent assignment by the Black Ice is to hunt down and assassinate a powerful blood mage that has recently begun rising to tremendous power within the last year in the Underdark of Faerun. A few months ago, her and Ordon Fjarlin were successful in their plans to open the gates to the Nine Hells and bring forth legions of devils to destroy the overworld of the country in order to balance the scales in the favor of the Drow. The high elven cities are in ruin, and the dwarven guilds are scattered, leaving the rest of the world's economy in shambles. The Black Ice believe that while House Fjarlin as a whole has taken credit for the destruction in the name of the Drow, this blood mage in particular is the key to ending Hell's occupation. She has been known to visit small towns in the middle of the night and bleed the residents of the town dry. Your recent intel has led you to believe that the town you have camped outside of the night will be your next target. You sit by your campsite, sharpening your hunting knife and snacking on some berries you found earlier as you gaze up into the sleepy moonlit town. It's a full moon tonight, which makes it easier to see from your distance. You watch as a lone hooded figure descends silently from the night sky into the center of the town. The moon above you turns to blood, and beams of light begin to shoot down from it, catching buildings on fire. You grab your weapons and break out into a run as screams begin to fill the air. You speed up even further as you blink through the city streets, downing a few homemade potions along the way. You arrive on a rooftop and ready your weapon as the person walks into view. Her pale skin and white hair reflect the moonlight and look almost blood-like themselves in the light. Blood stains her clothes as she cackles gleefully. You make your move and strike, but she's too quick for you. She holds out her hand and holds you in midair, and she turns to you, her eyes glowing a bright purple. Lilith, the Blood Queen, looks at you curiously like a cat with a strange colored mouse in its just found. You begin to lose consciousness as you gaze into those dark, evil eyes, and a strange scent is on the air. Then, with the sound of the giggle, everything flashes to white. Diego, you emerge from the Hell Portal on a familiar island in the middle of the expanse. This is your third time dying now and having to make the journey back through. This last time, your chain got severed from your Hellhound and it dragged you back. You checked the security of the chains on both your dogs and look around and sigh. You don't understand why hobgoblins simply can't take no for an answer. No, you aren't selling your war dogs. No, you don't want to marry the chieftain's daughter. And absolutely not, you are not a ghost coming back to haunt them. Though at this rate, that last one probably going to be true eventually. You make your way to the water's edge and look out. You see a bright flash of light on the horizon, and the wind begins to pick up. Looks like a terrible storm is headed your direction. You glance down at the island beach below, and where a pier has been constructed since the last time you were here, and some automatons are hard at work fixing up some buildings and getting to work fishing. You head down a winding path and meet up with your cousin Kendrin, who welcomes you with a big hairy hug and goes to make you a beer. You sit down and whistle to one of your dogs to fetch something from your bag. It places it on a rock in front of you and examine it. It's a strange-looking fork that you picked up in hell by a strange janitor. You use your toes to stab the fork into a nearby tree nut, and the nut turns into a delicious-looking fried chicken. You hear a roar on the air and look up to see that that's no normal storm headed towards your island. It's explosive and magical. In an instant, the pleasant day turns to chaos and you're almost blown off your feet. The last thing you hear before getting knocked out by a pile of painted coconuts is a giggle on the wind. Bart, you and your friend Joseph Jameson Johnson sit together in the dark and join some drinks in an effort to stave off the depressing atmosphere of the crypt. The ginger-haired boy has always been a fascination to you, and you've seen him grow up a lot over the last year or two as he's had to adapt to his new world. You and he share that in common, as you also recently had to adjust the new way you see the world. It's only been a few years now, but after a chance encounter with an enchanting dark elf woman who stole your heart, you've had your hard-headed dwarvish worldview flipped upside down. You breathe a deep, lovesick sigh. Oh, Tart, one day you'll free her and her people. Joseph pokes fun at you being lost in thought and talks about his latest plan to defeat the Kamakura Kakamura that have taken over the island. After a few minutes, you excuse yourself to use the privy. Well, it's a crypt, so almost everything's a privy, honestly. Headed back, you hear something up the stairs and peer into the darkness. The hairs on the back of your arms stand up. A glob of green goo comes hurtling through the air towards Joseph and splatters against the wall, hissing as it melts the stone. You instinctively dive for the boy as a figure in a mask with a devilish speed appears and fires a gun at Joseph. You knock him to the ground just in time to avoid you both getting your heads blown clean off. You groan and dust yourself off. You're getting too old for this shit, and you're not even 60 yet. You wipe the blood from your nose where you smash it into rock and sniff a strange scent of the air. Why does your blood smell like bagel? A strange sound echoes through the crypt, and in a flash, everything is gone. So, Bart, Ianthe, Cassie, Diego, Nomad, and Audric. Your vision slowly begins to come back to you after being blinded by a bright white light. You look around you and see an infinite plain around you. The ground below you looks like water so still it's glass, and the sky is a beautiful blue with still clouds and the sun shining down. A vast emptiness of calm stretches around you in all directions, all except for a strange-looking girl sitting backwards in a chair, staring at you eagerly. She's a darker-skinned young girl, maybe around 10 or 12, with big poofy hair and a bit of a messy look about her, like she just came from working on something. Sporting an odd pair of goggles and wearing what can only be described as culinary armor? There are 6 of you in total, all sitting in a line on rustic wood chairs. 8 if we're counting Diego's dogs, who are happily gnawing on some bones placed in bowls in front of each of them. You are all wearing simple white robes, and none of your possessions seem to be nearby. The young girl enthusiastically waves at the group.
God, we're dead. If this is heaven, I think I'd rather go to hell.
So empty.
Why are you people here?
So the girl waves at you all. Oh, and we have doggies here. Who's a good doggy? And she says, "Hi there."
No, that was Diego.
That was Diego. Oh, hard to tell the growling through the door and the dog in this campaign, I think.
If anything, Diego growls more than his dogs.
Oh, and that's where they get it from. Okay, interesting. But she waves to the group of you and says, "Hi there, I'm Kieran, Keeper of Fates and Queen of Bagel Time and Head Honcho in charge of Omega Corps. Welcome, my new minions, to the end of the world! Well, technically this is also the beginning of the world, but I'm already getting ahead of myself into the head-hurting portion. So, long story short, you're all blips, which means you've messed with Daddy's time loop, and we're actually scheduled to be erased from the timeline, but I saved you, because I'm awesome! Now, you're probably all wondering what this crazy girl wants with all of you, but first of all, rude, I'm not crazy. I had a little too much sugar today, and coffee, and donuts, and everything. I have great news for you all, minions. You get to help me do some really cool stuff. A bunch of people, unravel some secrets of the universe, that kind of stuff. So, here's the thing. My Omega Corps' singular purpose is to stop apocalypses and extend the duration of the timeline. And you've all been burdened with the same glorious purpose. No pressure. So, it'll be great. It'll be fine. You'll do great, don't worry. Well, okay, half of you will probably be fine, if I'm being honest. But let's not worry about that. Anyways, I'm sure you have a ton of questions and stuff, but this moment in time actually doesn't last much longer, and before you can come back to headquarters, you all need to be resynchronized. Think of it like going through the dunamantic decontamination and other big words like that. You can't fit in the timeline correctly. Before all the other versions of you are wiped away, you have to pull the aspects of them out to make sure you're more of a complete you. Once you get through the scrubber, and I'm sure you won't destabilize the entire plane, I'll pull you into headquarters and we can get started. So, questions, comments, concerns, emotions, and feelings. This is a safe place.
All of the above?
I go to Audric. This is catastrophe. I cannot believe what did I push the wrong button?
Don't worry, it's a trick. Let's just feel this out.
Is this one of those dreams that we've had before? Keegan, remember Keegan? He used to make us have these dreams.
Yes, it doesn't feel like a Keegan thing. Where is he?
Keegan's fine. He's not here. Oh, he's not really fine, I'll be honest. He's kind of in a coma. It's fine. We'll work on him later. He kind of got hit by some big nasty magic stuff, and we gotta put him in cryostasis until he comes back alive.
Why are you calling us minions?
Because you work for me now. You're welcome.
I have responsibilities.
Oh, yes. Okay, that reminds me. Dragonborn, I have a letter to deliver to you. So mail gets weird around here. Let's put it mildly. But let's just say I know a guy. And then she hands you a letter, which you can read later.
Are we hostages?
What? No, I mean, I guess technically you can't leave or you'll die, but that's not my fault. So don't blame me. Cool? We're good, right? You were going to be erased from the universe, and I saved you, so you're good with that, right?
Why were we going to be erased?
Well, because Sindor doesn't really like it when people mess with stuff or do things he doesn't like, or sometimes he just does it just because he feels like it, I'll be honest. I don't really understand him all the time in his decisions, but you guys were, again, you were being scheduled to be erased entirely based on something you did that didn't line up with his perfect timeline thing. So, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome! She gives you a big hug.
What?
Okay.
Shh, it'll be fine.
Don't do that.
What if I just leave? Should I?
Where's the door?
Oh, there's no. Oh, this is the beginning and end of time. There is no door.
Exactly.
Doors haven't been invented yet. So also you have about 60 seconds before this all goes away.
The beginning and end of time has seconds?
I know. Isn't it weird? You'd think it wouldn't have time, but it does.
Oh, where are we going?
Oh, you have to go through all of time? That makes sense, right? No, it doesn't make sense. You have to go find yourself? No, that doesn't help either. Find your
journey
other self?
of self-discovery.
Yeah,
right?
but you kind of like that, basically. But more fun.
So I obviously just got hit on the head very hard. No. I'm clearly just passed out on the tavern floor somewhere.
Well, sorry. No, that's not true. You're here, and you're stuck here for a bit. So, okay, so time's almost up.
Audric is going to say, excuse me, before we go, and I'm going to cast Zone of Truth on Kira. Is that her name?
Does magic even work here?
Kirid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm gonna try it.
And she goes, ooh, that tingles.
Have you been honest with us thus far?
Audric, I'm always honest. Especially with you.
Honesty is relative.
That's not true. Or is it?
Will I die if I don't do what you say?
Well, that makes it sound like it's a threat. Yes.
I look at Nomad and have a very concerned look.
It's worse than death, actually. If you don't, you just cease to exist entirely. It's not like you get to go to the ethereal plane, or no, you're just gone. Gone. It's bad.
I guess we don't have any choice, Audric.
It seems that way.
Yeah, sorry.
But so, did the original timeline just freeze, or have we disappeared and people who know us are like, wow, that person's just gone?
A little of both. Depending on which timeline you're talking about, because you're all from different timelines.
Wait, what?
Did I not? Oh, I didn't say that, did I? Yeah, you're...
she is telling the truth.
Not all of you. Some of you are from different timelines. Time gets weird, and you probably shouldn't think too hard about it, honestly. Because it makes your brain kind of just... It's
Now, why hasn't your brain exploded?
because I've been here for like forever or never.
Are you okay?
I don't think so. Are you okay?
I don't know.
Exactly. Nobody knows anything. We all are infinitely wise. Kira looks at a ginormous watch on her arm that also has like a bunch more like stacked on top of it. And she like kind of flicks it up and like, okay, you guys actually have about 15 more seconds or however they measure time around here, according to the ticky thing. She walks up to each of you. Yes, you will roll initiative. She walks down the line and she just goes boop, 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 and just boops each of you in the nose, and you each turn into a ball of colored light and whisk away.
I try so hard to fade away, but something's forcing me to stay. It'd be easier for me if I turn away to flee. Oh, but there's something holding on, the way of being long gone. There's so many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Far too many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Omega Core, Bagels in a Dangerous Spacetime. So this is the resync portion of the campaign, which is basically session kind of 0. It has unique gameplay mechanics. This is kind of glorified character creation in a way. You guys have already made your characters, but we're going to be fine-tuning things a bit here in a more narrative structure. Each character will be given 6 scenarios of legendary tales from their multiverse past and must help create the story of how they dealt with the situation at hand. There'll be no roles during this time, and all decisions will be presumed to have been successful unless otherwise specified. So players will pick an appropriate stat from one of the 6 primary stats that is linked to the decision in question, and then receive stat points based on their choice. So as of this moment, all character stats are set to base 10 for all your 6 stats, okay? And each pick from scenarios give you a +3 to your chosen stat. So you'll do a scenario, and you'll pick, I'm going to do a dexterous action, and you get a bonus to your dexterity. At the end, everyone also will pick from a collection of feats that each has its own Cortani backstory as well, and it's possible to be able to receive an additional feat of the 3 if you come up with a really excellent solve to one of the scenarios, kind of like inspiration, basically, in this version of the campaign, right? You'll also be required to pick 1 vulnerability and 1 resistance, because we're doing heavily with vulnerabilities and resistances in this campaign, with monsters as well. The 2 characters that have persisted throughout the campaign and are not new characters, which is Nomad and Audric, will also be given class options as well. After all this is completed, you may go back through and change any of your original class or race option selections based on the outcomes of your resync. If you did something you're like, well, okay, that doesn't make sense in terms of stat or ability or whatever, right? You can go back there afterwards and change stuff. I don't want to hard lock you into something this way, because I know that you've already done a lot of back end stuff, right? So you will be required to roll initiative, and you'll be placed in the order based on your rolls. Your turn will involve being given the scenario to fulfill before moving on to the next person. The rest of the party is encouraged to assist you in deciding the best course of action to complete the scenario based on your character's personality and the previous resync history that you've gone through so far. I'm going to post a list of the primary stats and the potential ways they may be used to complete your scenarios. These are rough guidelines and not set in stone in any way, and you can always ask me, the DM, for suggestions as well. Also be aware for the more melee characters, Con strength and dex can be complicated, especially con. So I'm fairly open to if you want to do a con stat increase and you just don't have a great solve for it, but you want to do something, we'll work it out, basically, because con is kind of one of those difficult stats that doesn't have any skills associated with it, right? It's just health, basically. So Nomad's changing over to the unofficial name of it, which is probably my favorite name, I think, for a class. Although, to be fair, Time Tinker was pretty good. I did like that one a lot. His new class is going to be called the Flash Haberdasher, because it's just so much fun to say. The Flash Haberdasher. So, Nomad, you are from a prestigious dragon-marked house called the House of Glam that specialized in the creation of a special kind of fabric called Glamour Weave. During the Shadow War, your family protected the remaining Fey dragons, getting them to safety, but at the cost of being turned to stone by these Shadow dragons. After several years of being petrified, you were brought back to life by a freak lightning strike, and your hands are now imbued with magical Fey energy. Nomad Glam, you have been commissioned for the Great Phoenix Festival to create all the costumes for their special performance. The story is about a giant phoenix who was friend to the little girl that saved the city from a horde of death drinkers who are humanoid vampire mosquitoes, which are horrifying, by the way, by exploding himself and incinerating all the enemies. You must make it a performance with visuals that are never forgotten and go down in history. That is your prompt, sir. How you do this is entirely up to you. It can be as short or as long as you want, basically.
Okay, so the idea is I announce a stat that I'm working on, and then based on that stat, I need to come up with something that uses that stat. Is that the idea?
Yeah, basically. So the elements you have in this performance are the giant phoenix, the little girl, who was just a human girl, and then you have the death drinkers, who are humanoid vampire mosquito people.
You could make that dress from Hunger Games.
It just catches fire.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
like a human performer who's like costume catches fire?
Because it changes from one dress to another when it catches fire.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
you guys can help me. So I guess that's a good. You're going to see how uncreative I am here.
No, that's
Because one dress changes to another by fire, like a phoenix.
So what's the before and after then?
Imagine a dress that goes that it starts off as like a basic white dress, and then as she spins, these sparks start up and a flame travels up the dress, consuming the white, and underneath it is now like a black glistening, almost like a raven's wing, with these still little sparks of light all over it.
Okay, so
sounds good. So am I making this? Is that what the idea is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's cool.
Okay, so you're going to be making a fire dress, basically.
Sure.
Working with probably fire-resistant material.
Going from its regular phoenix look to black to symbolize the ashes after it's gone, right?
Sure. And he's going to use his secret formula for Glamour Weave and do this.
Okay. So
Because-
it moves then too? So
Yes. So
okay.
it's animated. Little feathers and stuff float around it as she's dancing.
Okay.
And then they all glow really bright, and then they poof into ashes. So the dancer goes down, and because the dancer doesn't go poof, right?
Right. You don't kill the dancer, I
So
hope.
the dancer goes down and kind of does one of these, I want to say ballet things, where she bows down.
Oh, and you can do the
And-
thing where because her dress is turning to ash, right? So then she can
Yeah.
like hold out a tiny little baby chick or something in her hands, right? Like you have the little baby phoenix.
Oh, that's very
Right.
good. Thank you, DM.
Yeah, there you go.
No, not tiny bird. It's an egg.
Ah, there we go. Perfect. That's basically all I needed from you, unless you wanted to add more to it. Also, make sure you write the stuff down, because this is like official backstory for your characters that may come up later on. Okay. And add +3 to your dex. Ianthe, your first scenario is everyone from the Three Fingers must undergo 3 apprenticeships, and one of the ones you chose was working under an elderly Triton man who runs an Hydroforge. While working there, you're taught the wonders of hydrosteel and weave, but your teacher is killed in a raid from the surface. Before he dies, he gives you the secret of how to utilize the healing properties of the water to invert the damage done with hydrosteel weapons and hydro spells to make them heal instead. This is a different kind of one. You can pick one weapon and armor type to make hydrosteel or weave out of, and create an icon for a pendant that you can wear that will invert the damage of hydro spells. This is more of a practical creation one. I have a couple of these for you guys here and there. This is our first make a thing. Hydrosteel is a specific kind of metal that is only created by water folk. And hydro is its own damage type in the game. It's counter to fire. And you can make weapons, or you make armor out of it as well. And so you have to pick a weapon and armor type that you want your hydrosteel to be made out of, or made into, that is. And then you can create an icon and design what it looks like for your pendant that you can use to channel your hydro spells. That makes sense?
For armor, are you just wanting to know if she's going to wear like light or medium?
Yeah, but more elaborate than that. Like, what does it look like, and how does it function? Because you're oftentimes in and out of the water, right? Does it? Hydrosteel can morph as well when it's turned into weave, so it can change between one thing and another. You have two different versions of it, basically, if you want to. So if you have like an above water and an underwater version, for instance, you can do that. Like in your artwork, you have a dress, but you probably don't want to wear a dress while you're diving necessarily, because it can be really cumbersome, right? So
Yeah, you can have like
that.
a removable skirt.
Yeah, you can do a skirt if you wanted to, up to you. So like, what does it look like? How heavy is it? How armored is it? Hydrosteel can be turned into a full-on weave, which means you can turn it into light armor, or it can be turned into up to heavy armor even. So it's pretty versatile.
Well, I think what I'm doing for her is keeping her like kind of ranged.
Okay.
So I'll stick with light armor.
Okay.
Which would be good for if she has to get in and out of the water too.
Mm-hmm. And then for the weapon, what are you thinking for that? Because are you doing like crossbow, a short bow, like harpoon gun? Like, what are you looking at here?
I typed in mermaid armor,
I'm more excited.
which I just now realized like my brain came up with, like, because mermaids, in the water. Like,
No, that makes and they might come out of the water potentially.
That makes a lot of sense.
It makes sense. So like it would be almost living, where it would move around your body.
yeah,
in these,
it's very
like, scales.
scale-like.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be like scales. That makes a lot of sense because it needs to have a lot of movement.
Okay. And so it's going to transfer between a more of a flowy dress potentially for the outside. Do you want to keep that underwater, or do you want to shorten it, turn it pants? What are you looking for?
So I would say probably it turns more like skirt-like.
Okay.
Dress-like outside of the water.
Okay. Dress to skirt. And then weapon. This is a little more
I think
complicated.
a short bow or something. I don't know how you want to distinguish whether it like works in the water. Because nothing
works underwater.
I mean, even like if you think about modern day, like how hard it is and how much force you need for something like torpedoes in the water because of how much resistance water has.
Yeah.
Like honestly, any projectile in the water that isn't like, I don't know, magic is just not going to work.
Yeah, it's got to be magic. I mean, it's going to be a hydro steel, so basically it's just going to be just a normal weapon that basically just works underwater real good.
What if underwater it literally looked like it was made from the water around?
Your arrows could just be like basically water, right? It's just, damaging water to shoot the water.
To shoot something, so like if you want to get into the science of it, to shoot something solid in the water is extremely hard, but it's really easy to kill people with things like air and just pressure waves underwater.
Right. So potentially it would go, so it would like travel the distance as liquid or gaseous form, and then on impact it would like turn solid and break it on them or something, right? Okay, so she just carries around like a handle basically.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like carries the handle, but then it like becomes more like okay, that's actually really cool.
With a bow literally made of water.
Don't go to a volcano. Where'd my bow go, guys?
Oh, damn.
Okay, I like it. And then your pendant.
I'm just gonna use the one. I'm gonna copy it. Don't judge me.
That's fine.
Oh,
the water tribe one, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, your class is waterbender, so this was kind of going to happen no matter what. Okay. Symbol of its waves, crashing waves, basically. Symbol, circular, symbol, crashing waves. Okay. Excellent. Do you have a name for this, or what it should symbolize, or is it just like, I live in the water, so I like waves?
Because, I mean, actually, we could just do Eldaths to begin with. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. Okay. Eldath symbol. Okay. I'd recommend this as more of intelligence or dex.
Dex, then.
Okay.
Because intelligence is kind of like a bunk stat for cleric.
Okay. Yeah. And as dex as basically a crafting skill. So
Sure.
you learned this like hand, made skill basically, that not many people know, right? It's a very well kept secret. Okay, so go ahead and add 3 to your dex. Cassie, you were born in Siska, but since your family line wasn't known, you weren't given the same opportunities as most. Most notably is the connection to the Frostfurs, the magical polymorphing animals that Karsiska soulbound to your people. Most Siskins soulbind their Frostfurs on their 15th birthday, but you weren't able to tame yours until your 20th birthday. Most Frostfurs take on a form from the Ursine, Canine, or Feline families, but yours was something completely different. Yours was unusually small and had wings. So choose from one of these 3 mystical animals as your Frostfur. It'll be miniature in size most of the time, about the size of a standard raven or bird, but be able to change into a large-sized creature for 1 hour a day. It'll either be jet black or snow white, depending on your choice of the animal. The 3 animal choices you have are a Periton, a Ice Phoenix, or a Shadow Raven. So a Periton, you'll have to look up because they're quite cool. And they are winged stags.
Oh, that's so cute.
So there's that. There's also an Ice Phoenix, which is obviously a hawk-like creature, and a Shadow Raven, who is actually able to meld into the shadows. And then once you've selected your creature, you have to give an explanation of how you were able to come to find this creature and bind them to you.
All right. Well, as cute as that is, I'm going to have to go with the Shadow Raven.
I figured.
Yeah. Just.
I think you're making a mistake.
No. And even if I am, would not be the first time.
Yeah, so how did you come to bind your Frostfur Shadow Raven?
Seeing as it was so late for her, like all her friends, everyone she knew had a Frostfur at this point.
Mhm.
She was pretty much the last one. And I think a part of her had given up a little bit on the idea that she might ever have one.
Huh.
She was definitely being given like more inconsequential tasks at that point because, she didn't have the Frostfur. It was really, she didn't stand out in any way. So she was out one day gathering just like roots and berries, just the last of the food that could be gathered for that winter kind of idea.
Mm-hmm.
And she just stayed out like an hour too long. She just wasn't paying quite enough attention. And as she looked around, she notices the shadows are getting really dark all of a sudden, and it's going to be a long, hard slog home. And part of her is like kicking herself, and the rest of it is just like, God, this would just all be so much easier. And a part of a shadow detaches itself and flutters over to her shoulder, and she hears the voice for the first time of the bird that is going to be her companion, telling her that it will show her the way home.
Not only will it show you the way home, but you'll actually be able to ride it home. It has an hour long, it can turn large. So when it still binds to you, it actually brings you home. You could go Charisma, you could go Constitution.
I was aiming for Constitution.
Yeah, I mean, because you're surviving out in the wilderness, basically, and doing some like survival instincts and...
Yeah.
But then you failed, and a bird had to show you how to get home.
I would say that you were actually out there for a very long time, and you survived unnaturally long, and the bird saw your survival skills and thought, this one should make it. They're doing
Thank
quite
God.
well. So yeah, go ahead and take con on that one then. Awesome. All right, Audric. First of all, I would like to read to you the letter you received from Indira.
I just love that, first of all.
first of all, to Odric.
That's what it sounds like in Audric's imagination.
Yes, exactly. To Odric,
There you go.
Hope of the Dragonborn. I hope your travels are well, and you haven't gotten yourself into too much trouble. The egg you left in my care continues to glow brightly and remains healthy. Where at first I just saw opportunity, now I feel something else. A distinct bond between myself and the egg, but also, strangely enough, to you, even across all this distance. I can also feel that while my bond with it is strong, it needs your presence to continue to grow. My mail courier tells me that you're not in this plane currently, which concerns me, but also doesn't surprise me. For this reason, I have set up a spell that will send the egg back to you upon your arrival back to this plane. After a crazy man in an airship blew up the Castle of Glory and King Stanley vanished, House Denieth got to work quickly to secure a foothold in the capital and establish itself as the head house. There is still much to be done in fully securing the land and purging it all the stands, but we have made considerable progress. I have been named Queen of the Land, a title that makes me a bit uncomfortable if I'm being honest. I also only took it under the condition that it be a partnership rule. I hope that one day soon you'll return to us and take your place next to me in order to bring about a reforging of the Dragonborn in our land. Lance came up with a clever little title to replace King and Queen, since those titles not only leave a little bit of a bad taste in everyone's mouths these days, but doesn't accurately reflect the type of governance we're looking to achieve here. So, we shall be the Willsworn, the leaders who have sworn to fulfill the will of the people and bring about peace and justice. I wish you good fortune in your adventures, but if I'm honest, I wish more for your return to us than anything else. Your fellow Willsworn, Andira. So, Audric, your first scenario from your past here. You have been given command of a battalion of troops by your commander and instructed to take them through a mountain pass to provide reinforcements to the battle there and turn it in your favor. However, your recent intel suggests that the mountain pass is being watched by the enemy and will be a trap. Going around will take an extra full day of travel. You need to get the troops to the other side in order to win the day.
Okay. The first thing Audric is going to do while we're hiking up this mountain pass, how do I get this intel?
You have a scout, basically, a scouting party that went out and did a recon and said that there was enemies in that area, and they weren't able to proceed any further. So you're not positive that they are staging a large-scale attack, but you believe that to be so based on the fact that there is an enemy presence on that pass.
So Audric's going to look down at his scout, and he's going to say, how many of them are there?
I only counted 12, but I feel there could be many more based on the underbrush and how much it had been traversed lately.
So Audric's going to smile, and he's going to turn to his men and pull out his sword, and he's going to say, do we back down from a challenge? And whatever. He's going to give like a big-ass motivational speech to the soldiers.
Yeah.
And the idea here is that I'm using brute force. We're going to go straight through and take out this enemy. I want to build up my strength score.
Okay. You're going to brute force it, and even if there is a trap, you're going to go right through it and you'll be ready for it. All right. Very good. Yeah, so you're going to be able... It is going to be a trap, but you are ready for it, which is helpful. And you're able to... remember, at this point in your life, you are in the command of several dragons. And you're able to send them up while you guys go down and able to keep the enemies at bay while you get the rest of your troops through the pass itself. And it is an essential win for your command, basically. It is a defining moment of your career. Because your troops literally come and save the day, and you were about to lose an entire army otherwise. Bart, you are in your homeland of Farfalla, a small isolated island country between Siska and Faerun. As you gaze up into the stars for yet another peaceful night, you see a light moving along the top of the Great Wall, a giant 100-foot wall that surrounds your entire island. You've heard rumors that there might indeed be other people out in the world, but those stories have been dismissed by the elders. So your goal here is to scale the sheer wall and investigate the light in order to bring enlightenment about the outside world to your people. How do you do this?
He strips down to his dwarf long johns,
Okay.
so he's light,
Okay.
and he climbs that sucker like a spidery little thing.
It's a smooth wall. How does he climb it exactly?
He's magnetic?
Wait, it's not a metal wall, first of all, so that wouldn't help him. He's also not Spider-Man.
Lick your fingers and stick them to the rock.
You just have like the gooeyest spit because you drink so much beer. so much honey mead that you lick your fingers.
Yeah, he's gonna punch little grooves in it as he climbs. I'm liking this.
It's somersault over.
And where he can't punch, he will use his. No, he'll just punch.
Just use your honey spit.
Your honey spit.
Are there any trees nearby? Are there any trees?
A couple, yeah. They don't go over the top because they're the wall 100 feet tall, but there are some trees, yeah.
Okay, so he's gonna take his axe and chop down some trees and build a quick ladder.
Okay. Because there's a couple of like parts of the wall that are deteriorated that you could like actually like sit in. So what you can do is you could like make your ladder like move it with you because you can't make the ladder 100 feet tall. I don't think easily. So you're gonna have like a movable ladder where you move it up part of it, you climb up the ladder, and you kind of like wedge it back on there, and you climb up the rest of it, and you kind of go like section by section basically, right?
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay.
Okay, cool.
That'll do.
All right, go ahead and add your dex score there. It's plus 3.
Dude, donkey.
Movable ladder, and you're gonna use that honey spit, honey spit, to secure it onto the wall. And by doing this, you're able to get to the top, and you're able to see some people that are down below that have been come from the mainland to bring up investigating your island, and through that, you're able to open up communication between the two peoples and kind of begin that process of being a little bit more integrated into the world, basically. Awesome. All right, so Diego, you have been kidnapped by a band of kobolds and thrown into a deep hole in the ground. You aren't sure what they plan to do with you, but they were wiped out in the night, and now you are stuck in the bottom all alone. Based on the frequency of the tremors on the ground around you, a volcanic eruption will occur sometime today. You need to escape from the hole and get to safety away from the blast radius of the volcano.
You said this is a circular pit?
Yes.
Diego's just going to start running in circles around the hole and start slowly climbing the walls that way.
That is very monk-like, and I love it. Yeah. Okay.
While he's doing this, and you guys probably already picked this up based on what Diego has said so far. He's going to growl a lot.
Diego hasn't said anything. That's the point.
Yeah, he is just growling.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
So he, like, just while he's climbing this hole, he's just...
It's like a car revving up.
Exactly.
He's like one of those motorcycle acts that like goes in the ball and goes in circles, right? There you go. That's great. All right, we're back top of the order here with Nomad.
So does that give me a +3 to Dex?
It does, yes. Go ahead and take the Dex score. Okay. Yeah, and you make it out in time, and you do not get melted by a volcano. All right, so Nomad, a particularly nasty shadow dragon named Drengar, has captured you and locked you in a cage. Around you, there are several more people that are in a similar situation. The dragon appears to be keeping you all alive for entertainment purposes, and then when he gets bored, he will roast and eat you alive. You must escape your cage and make it to freedom, as well as secure the freedom of all the other prisoners. How do you do this?
Why is he doing this?
The dragon?
Yeah.
Well, he captured you because of your connection to the Fey dragons. You in particular. The rest of the people, though, for the most part, the shadow dragons have a nasty tendency of kind of just taking people in the middle of the night sometimes, and then just keeping them there for a long time, and then just eating them. So they're kind of just the worst dragon. Basically, he kind of just likes to play with his food and then eat people. So,
what's he look like?
He's a really big black dragon with smoke coming out of his nostrils, and his wings are actually partially just shadow smoke.
Okay, so I'm going to try to talk my way out of this.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Yeah. What is
So-
your plan for convincing him to let you go?
Okay, so my plan is to compliment the heck out of him
Okay.
and find out what it is that really is his true desire, and possibly either persuade or deceive him into thinking that I can provide that for him.
Okay. So, well, rather than just telling you, I'll let you decide what his background is going to be. Why does he do this? Does he have, was he not loved enough as a child, right? Does he seek, glory and riches? Like, what, why does he terrorize other people? Was he bullied as a child, maybe?
How about he actually is bigger than everybody else around him? Everybody all of his siblings and all that kind of stuff. So he's always been picked on because he was large. And so when he finds something that's very small, like gnomes or little people or whatever, he gets very angry at them because he's jealous of them.
Okay.
Does that sound like a motivation?
Yeah, I mean, it's a transference of being bullied to become the bully, basically, right?
Right.
So tell him to bully the other dragons. He's bigger,
right.
isn't he?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's your own size.
Okay, so I want to have a conversation with him and ask him about his. First of all, I compliment the heck out of him so that he's willing to talk to me, and I am speaking his language, and I tell him how much, being small, I had the same problem as a child or as growing up. People picked on me or something, and whether it's true or not, I don't know, but I'm making it up as I go along, and how you're the big one. It shouldn't bother you that you're large, because I think large is a really great thing. I wish I was as large as you. I go through that kind of thing.
You're basically saying it's all about perspective, right? Size and
all about
whatnot. Like, being large is sometimes bad, being small is sometimes bad, depending on what situation. But, you can always work through it and all that.
I can actually make you an outfit. Do you, maybe something you put on your head? Like, do you ever wear hats? Oh, you know what? I think you would look very good in hats. But, you have to let me and my friends out of the cage in order for me to do that for you.
You know what? Because it's super funny, you're going to make him a really big hat, and it's going to be the best hat any dragon ever had before. Because they don't wear hats. So you're going to make him the best top hat.
Right. And it's actually kind of scary in a sense that it would make the people he wants to pick on, it would make them afraid because of it's an animated hat.
Oh.
It can have really scary faces on it and such, and have teeth and fire and things like that to come out of it.
Okay.
It's all illusionary, but it's still kind of scary looking.
Cool. Alrighty. Oh, you're using charisma, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I'm going to use charisma for that, I think.
All right. Sure. You make a really cool animated hat for this dragon that will give him the confidence he needs to go out into the world and make good life choices. All right.
One thing I'm learning about this is I might need to study up a little bit on fashion industry to find out what fashion's really all about. I really don't know anything about it.
Yeah, it might be helpful, honestly. All right.
You don't need to know the trends when you set the trends.
Oh,
That's right. Yes. Very good. Yes.
There you go. There you go.
I'm going to remember that.
All right. Ayanthe, you are on an underwater delve of a recently sunken ship to recover some artifacts it was transporting. While searching the ship, you discover a sealed compartment in the cargo hold, presumably for smuggling contraband. You hear what appears to be a person inside. You're at the floor of the ocean, though, and a very long way to the surface. A normal person wouldn't be able to hold their breath long enough to get all the way back up. How do you save the person trapped inside and get them to the surface?
In a sunken ship?
Yes.
Recently sunken?
Somewhat recently, yes.
Oh, okay.
It's been a couple days.
Oh, okay.
So they're probably not doing great. Ignore the levels of oxygen that may or may not exist in this compartment.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Because the problem is if you just open the compartment, they now have not enough time, basically, to make it up to the surface.
There's also adjusting to pressure and all that kind of stuff, which I don't know if you want to think about that or not.
No, that is definitely a thing as well that you got to be careful of. which means in general you have to be very slow about it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my first thought is either being able to remove the compartment with the person inside or being able to do like a bubble around the person. Am I by myself?
Yeah.
That sounds like bad policy. But like, is there a group back above the surface? How long would it take me to go back to like go and get someone else to help me with this?
Not too long. I mean, you within the hour for sure. I mean, there's you're part of a larger party that's looking for other ships in the area, so there's other people around. You're just not next to you. I mean, remember, you're not like in any particular danger from drowning as a diver because you can breathe underwater. So
I think it might be better if there's someone else like me who can help me with the task.
Okay.
And we, first probably try and see if we can just take the hold itself. That way we can, like, maybe, like, if it's inside of a structure, if we can just get around it.
Okay.
And try and bring it back up to the surface slowly with the person still inside. Or if it starts to break, then we can try and seal the person in an air bubble.
Okay. What skill are you looking to use?
I would go for wisdom just because that would be like strategy.
Yeah, it's knowing the ocean. Honestly, is wisdom, like knowing how to do.
Because you can't be at the bottom of the ocean and be like, oh, there's a person trapped inside. Let me open the door.
Bloop. Yeah, and you have to know like how fast you can raise them safely without them just like getting super messed up. Right,
that'd be like survival or whatever, which is a wisdom thing.
Which is wisdom, yeah. Okay. Are you gonna bubble them then, or are you gonna try and attempt to raise the whole structure?
I would say raise the structure first, because if it's already sealed, the person's in there, we know it's airtight.
Mm-hmm.
Because to bubble them, you have to open it, and I don't want to do that. That's introducing pressure.
I think you can, if you bubble the structure too. I think it'll be easier to raise potentially. Maybe not.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Okay, and then you can like slowly depressurize it basically once you get to the surface.
Yeah. So I don't know if you care, but what you have to do is stop at like certain levels of feet and allow the person to adjust based on time.
Yeah, so you'll go in stages basically, and you'll take like the next like couple hours probably to do this. Okay.
Yeah, it depends on how deep it is.
Yeah, it's pretty deep. So yeah. All right. Go ahead and take your wisdom bonus there. Very good. Yeah, and you're able to get the compartment to the surface safely. And it does take you quite a bit of time, but you have the time to kill. So you're just looking for artifacts and loot and whatnot. So
that's cool.
Yeah, you saved somebody. You saved somebody's life today.
They're like, oh, this ship just sank and you were in it.
Sucks to be you.
I guess not though, because you're very lucky that it's a diver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it was just like some random like scavenger person, they would just open the hatch up and that person would have died. So
free loot.
Yeah. Alrighty. Cassie is next on the list. Alright, so Cassie, the Black Ice has put out a request for candidates for a new experimental stealth program with the promise of the chosen candidate be given a family name at the Hearth, which is the seat of power where all the prestigious heads of family have sway. Unnamed from across the land have come to test their mettle and vie for the candidacy. The trial is open-ended and is simply listed as, quote, bring us the most important head you can. You've been around the Siskian military long enough to know that while they value strength, they also value cleverness. Words are hard to say. So what do you bring them that will impress them enough to choose you, and then what is your family name that you choose?
Why are you asking me names? I figured out the name of my bird.
Awesome.
Rawson. It's not.
Rawson.
It is spelled Hrafn.
Okay. Rawson. Okay.
Rawson.
Like the sun god, Ra. Got it.
Rawson. It's basically Old Norse for raven.
Cool.
This is what happens when I'm forced to name things quickly.
You named your bird.
Yes. I have another campaign where I named my horse in several other languages. Like his name is Rawson.
All right. Very good. All right. So back to the current scenario.
She is going to. The trial is open ended, so it lasts for a couple of days.
Yeah, and the trial is listed as, quote, bring us the most important heads you can.
Okay. So, What she is going to do is, Cassie is just generally unnoticeable. Like that is her one skill. Is people just don't tend to notice right away when she's there.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going to go around to all of these, extremely important people that have shown up for this, and she is going to locate any hereditary weapons, any talisman, just anything that is extremely important that denotes their status, and she's going to spend the next few days stealing them. And she is going to present her collection of all of these items as her head.
So I will say that most people, pretty much all people showing up, have no prestigious status currently.
Okay.
Because they are all the unnamed, which is what you fall in the category of people who don't have a family name. So they're coming here to do this. So
whoever the judges are that are there to determine,
So they also do specify head.
Kind of thinking about, like, in terms of clan names and such, like that's what she's kind of looking for, is tokens. Instead of, like, actually beheading people, is things that would represent the head of the clan, kind of thing. Something that
so like family crests, basically.
Yes,
what you're looking
things
for.
that are symbolically very
So the most important head is the one in charge.
So if everyone who's, like, actively participating is non-named, would people from the tribes that do have names be there to watch?
Yeah.
Okay. So she's going to go through all the camps of everybody who's there to watch, the judges that are there to determine who actually has achieved the greatest feat, and she is going to try to acquire as many house symbols, family crests, weapons of great status, anything that would denote being the head of a family.
Okay. Awesome. And what stat are you looking to use for this?
Dexterity.
For the thieving. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
A lot of the heads of household have an actual family crest that's on usually a shield that they have in like their home residence, basically, like their main hearth. And hang them over like the fireplace, usually next to all of like their big like kills, like the like the big boar heads and all that stuff, right? So you actually go in and you steal every single one of these shields from the main like 12 heads of the hearth. And you bring them and present them as
and then at the presenting ceremony, she's just like one after another putting it down, like, I have 12 heads.
I have yours, I have yours, I have yours, I have yours. Yeah. Awesome.
And I'd like to think that at least half of them did not even notice they were missing.
Alright.
And like before, I will get back to you with the family name.
Right, that's fine. Next is Audrak again. So your city is under siege by a faction of waterfolk, and it's lasted several weeks now, and supplies are running low. It's unclear how much longer the other side can maintain the siege, but your city needs to survive as a main choke point for the region, and your goal is to keep it safe at any cost. So you have to hold this city and not let it fall into enemy hands, regardless of the cost. This is a city that is occupied by both military and civilians, mind you. You have no current knowledge of the stockpiles of your enemies and how long they can continue. It could be tomorrow, it could be a month from now. You don't know.
All right. Audric is gonna, after taking all precautions with, like, fortifying the city and, like, making sure all the troops are in place. That's for what he's gonna take care of first is just kind of make sure everything's safe. But his big idea, when things get desperate, he's gonna host a dinner. He's gonna invite, the generals, the captains of the Waterfolk army to a dinner. He's going to provide all the hospitality that he can, and he's going to make an alliance. And he's going to dedicate some of his troops to their causes, and we're going to use our charisma to work together here and come up with something that's beneficial for both sides. And it's a historic alliance.
Because you're able to turn what appears to be a hopeless situation for your cause, for your side. Because everybody assumes that the Waterfolk will break through the city, and then that's it's a major choke point, and it's a major win for the waterfolk. They can get into like the majority of your lands at that point. You turn what looked like a impossible, devastating defeat, and made it an actual win, just through diplomacy. Quite impressive.
Yeah, is it possible that I had some kind of interaction with one of Ionte's relatives?
Oh, interesting. If you want to, we can say that one of their leaders was Genasi, who'd have more of a level head on the situation, which might lead to the reason why an accord was able to be struck, because they were more neutral in this, right?
Like, I don't feel like they would lead a war as much as they would be like, maybe you should not have a war.
Yeah, so she was probably there on the battlefield to advise the
Like a
waterfolk leaders
mediator.
as like you should probably stop.
Like, what if you just, like, stop that?
Audric and her mom are the two people that negotiated together.
Yeah, I think that works out pretty well. Okay.
That's totally fine if you want to have that connection, yeah.
And go ahead and take your bonus to charisma there. So you and Ianthe's mother negotiated an end to one of the water folk wars. Bart is up next. Bart, you've been tasked with stealing a very valuable painting of a nobleman from his estate, as it apparently has some implicating evidence on it that shows his corruption on the back. It hangs over his bed on a large estate with many guards and magical locks on the doors. The area is covered in intricate topiaries and hedge mazes, as well as a menagerie of animals in cages. You unfortunately do not have the time to wait until he is traveling, since apparently time is of the essence. You must secure the painting while he sleeps without being spotted.
2 ways to have stealth. Either they don't see you, or they're all dead, in which case they didn't see you.
What if they know that someone was there, but not technically me?
It's fine as long as it's after the fact. Like, if they wake, he didn't wake up and be like, my painting is gone. That's fine, right? And like, you can lead the guards on like a bit of a chase potentially. It just has to not be like, oh, the alarms are going off, everything's in lockdown, right?
Okay, so I'm gonna use disguise self to make myself a foot taller and very slight. I basically look sort of like the guy that died from the stingray. What was his name?
Steve Irwin?
Irwin?
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit. And then I'm gonna use charisma to convince the guards that I'm an animal handler to get me inside. All right, so now I'm gonna look around for a pretty girl. Are there any female staff? Doesn't have to be pretty, actually. Just any female staff.
Yes, there are.
I'm gonna take it back.
Like, I saw the staff. Never mind. You don't need to be pretty.
Just generally
Harsh.
female-ish looking.
it's not dwarven. Got it. Okay. The nobleman does have daughters too, and there are several female staff of varying natures, of both soldier variety, maid, cook, you name it, basically.
Okay, the maid. I want the maid.
Okay, you find a maid.
So he just goes on up and speaks a little bit of the language of love to her.
Okay, seduces a maid. Okay.
And he says, hey, I really want to see this painting, but I don't know how to get in, and maybe you could help me.
Okay.
And so he's asking her to help him get through the door to where the painting is.
It's the middle of the night, and your plan is to, as Steve Irwin, seduce a maid and get into his room while he's sleeping.
Yes.
I've heard worse plans.
Okay, so you just have the most incredible charm in the entire world. This has to be charisma. I will accept nothing else other than charisma for this. This maid, like, falls for you real hard and, like, begins to, like, plan a wedding kind of hard. Like, you're gonna break this poor girl's heart. How do you get the painting out? First of all, without her seeing you, but then also without everybody else seeing you as you leave?
She lets him into the room, and then he whispers in her ear, wait for me in the other bedroom. So she's gonna. He wants
First,
her
I
to
have
go
to,
put
I
on.
have to go cavort with your boss. Continue.
Yeah, and then while she's off getting herself ready, he uses his dwarf strength to get it off the wall, and
Do you really need the frame?
Right. You usually these heist movies, they always cut the picture out of the
Yeah,
frame.
just
that's a good point. No, he's not
Cut
gonna
it
bring
out.
the
Don't cut it out. Disassemble the frame and roll it up, but don't cut it out. That is so bad.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I know.
I'm still stuck just picturing the whole like, yeah, you go wait in the other bedroom while I get aroused by this painting, and then I'll come join you.
You will be
Yeah,
searched.
so-
You'll be searched when you leave. So how do you get it out?
So he
If you
just
put it in your pants and just act really happy when they search you.
So he rolls it up and he puts it down a pant leg.
And this is a big painting. This is this is a ginormous painting. Just a heads up. And they're gonna pat
How
you
big?
down.
How big? How big?
I mean, it's like a 10-foot wide painting. The house is in the center of the estate, right? It's surrounded by all these other things as well, and then the main gate is on one side of the estate, right?
Put it in your butt.
It's a 10-foot painting.
A 10-foot painting up a dwarf's butt.
No. Like
Trevor
down your
did
pant
say-
leg, but like through your butt cheeks.
Hey,
Sure.
Trevor did say it would succeed. Just go
No
for
matter
it.
what.
And like I said,
One
make
way to
people
find out.
uncomfortable while they're patting you down. Just act real happy about it. They'll get
Yeah.
it done real quick.
intense eye contact.
Intense eye contact. Maybe
Yeah.
make a few little noises.
What the hell are you? All right. So anyway,
Nobody knows how he got it out, but the rumor is.
can he fold it into a giant paper airplane?
You're gonna turn it into a paper airplane.
Is he going to ruin the painting though?
I mean, it might. You don't know where it's gonna fall when you throw it, right?
Use feather fall. Hold on to it.
You
So
really
I'm
should
like,
have gotten a pocket dimension before you went on this journey.
Probably true. I mean, there is a large tower in this estate. If you want to climb to the top of it and jump off with the painting like a parasail and cast Featherfall on yourself, I guess you can do that.
I'm going to roll it up really tight, and then I'm going to use some rope to fasten it to my back, and then I'm going to climb that tower.
Are you throwing this as a paper airplane, or are you gliding with it down?
I'm gliding with it.
So, if you had forward momentum when the spell was cast,
You probably
I
maintain
don't
it.
see.
Yeah.
I don't see anything that would negate that forward momentum.
Yeah,
You gotta push out pretty hard.
Yeah,
and
like
then-
run,
Yeah.
jump off really fast, and then cast Featherfall, and then you just slowly create that arc, basically.
Yeah. So if you do go with that parasailing motif, like if you had that, I think you could theoretically be able to like glide your way.
Yeah.
It's basically would turn you into like the Elytra from Minecraft.
The glider. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and you're able to glide outside safely in the middle of the night, leaving this poor maid in just waiting all night long for you.
Also, can we have that maid like haunt them for the rest of the campaign?
Ooh. Her name is
Yeah, I
Candace, and she now will murder you on sight. So,
Aya would have been really opposed to this plan. She doesn't like hurting people, even emotionally.
take your charisma bonus there, +3, and we're moving on to the next person. All right, so Diego, you and your war dogs have been sent by the monastery to help a local town that has been ravaged by a werewolf that has been hunting at night and tearing people apart. Determine what, first of all, your war dogs look like, and then you also need to then stop the threat and eliminate or incapacitate the werewolf.
Will determine what my war dogs look like.
Mhm.
I mean, the hounds that you got on that image of me is pretty much what I pictured. So
The answer, no matter what, is they are going to be the goodest boys ever.
they are the goodest boys ever. They are also the scariest.
Oh
boys
my
ever.
gosh. Yep.
Jeez.
That is terrifying. Okay. You have some very terrifying dogs that are good boys.
Yes, he does. And how is he going to stop the werewolf?
Yes.
Do we know who it is?
You do not.
Diego would, yeah, he would more or less, like, after a night of the werewolf going on a rampage, he would then try to track it back to its human form.
Yeah, that makes sense because there's probably some fur or something you could use for your tracking dogs. Yeah.
or prints.
Yeah.
Or just a smell that my dogs can pick up on.
Yeah.
But I don't know what skill that it would be. I mean, if I'm going off of just the basis of animal handling, that would be wisdom.
Yeah, but same thing with survival too. Do you want wisdom though?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, wisdom is animal handling and survival, which would be tracking. So that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. And how do you deal with this person?
Well, they're in human form, yes?
Yes.
I guess that really depends. Do they know they are a werewolf?
No.
So it would definitely start off with Diego more or less trying to scare the ever-living crap out of them. Which, with these two hounds on either side of him that are about the same size as him, probably wouldn't be that hard, especially to someone who doesn't know they are a werewolf.
Yeah. It's a normal guy. He works at the smithy.
Yeah, then I'd say that just like he'd find out who it was, and then he'd wait for he'd wait till the next night, a non-full moon night, so the werewolf wouldn't be out. He'd still be the dude, and then he would, like in the middle of the night, full on just absolutely scare this guy shitless. Blow open his door, have the dogs barking like crazy, and like he'd almost act like a vengeful kind of spirit thing and scare him away from town.
Okay. Are you telling him he's a werewolf or no?
Nope.
Okay. So he's the next town's problem. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So just one more thing that everyone should know. Since Diego has died a good handful of times, and the first time was kind of a really shitty situation, so he really doesn't care that if he doesn't know if he's a werewolf.
Okay.
He got paid to get him out of this town, so that's what he did.
Love it.
Okay. You're like, not my problem anymore. I did the thing.
Maybe the next town will pay him too.
This is a racket now.
God.
It is.
He totally runs a racket.
Scam.
Yep.
That is like a full-on scam.
Honestly, I love that, and we're definitely keeping that.
He's
Yeah.
not intentionally making it a scam. Just if so happens the next town hires him, he's not going to say that it chased it there.
That makes it intentional.
No. What it makes
No,
it
he's
is
not intentionally
he's
pasting it
forward
to any other
thinking.
town.
He's forward thinking. He's entrepreneurial. That's all
Yeah.
it is. All right, Nomad. The refuge has named for itself a new pirate king and has requested your services in creating an iconic crown for their new leader. It represents strength, glory, and the freedom of the open airs and seas. Airs and seas because there's airships and sea ships, right? The pirate lords at the refuge prize not only just the end product, but also its style of delivery. You need to deliver a crown that is both one of a kind and memorable in its delivery. That's
I'd be like, come steal it. That's how you get it.
oh,
Yes.
You want the crown? Come get it, King of the Pirates.
So what makes a pirate fame and glory? What does he have to do? He's got to kill a lot of people, but what else? What else would he be
Get a
known for?
lot of gold and treasure.
A lot of gold.
Uh,
Claim the most ships.
mhm.
Never be caught.
Yeah, that's true too. Never be caught. By the
Infamy.
authorities. Yeah.
Infamy and pirates go hand in hand. It's
Dread Pirate Roberts.
no.
Yes. Dread Pirate Roberts was the best pirate.
And he was never caught.
He was
He
never
was
caught
never
because he was
caught.
constantly changing who he was.
Yeah, so kind of cheats, but you know.
yeah.
Make it a
Very
chase.
Yeah, that's right.
To bring it to him and be like, look at what I've created. Look at it. Look at this glory. Don't you see this? And then be like, yoink.
It's
That's
gone.
mine now.
Yeah.
It's
So you
now
brought
on an
it to
island
them.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, like you brought it to them and you're like, look, see? It's worthy.
Yeah.
Are you?
Give him not just a crown, but a story.
Hmm.
Give him insecurity.
Well, I was actually thinking you're at the top of a cliff and you throw it over the cliff and say, "Go get it."
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
But I think that
Okay,
might
that's
get me-
real good.
That
Like
might
into
get me
the ocean,
killed.
just be like, and there it goes. But like at the bottom, there's a ship that's ready to set sail,
Yeah.
and the chase begins.
You put it on a ship that is in like the harbor, and you're like, it's on there. You have to go chase that ship down and blow it up.
Well, blow it up, but okay, I like that one because that's at least practical, right?
Yeah.
But blow it up.
That would also
But
sink
the crown-
Yeah.
How do you get the crown?
You can do a treasure map, right? You can like, here's the map to the crown.
Oh, he would probably love that, right?
Probably.
I mean-
pirates love
I mean,
treasure maps.
Pirates love treasure maps, right?
Yeah. So we're
Okay.
gonna sure that's easy.
And like, a riddle.
Yeah, like a riddle and like a map and all this stuff. Yeah, you can do that. Where do you want it to end up though? Like, where's the end point?
None of us are bards. But if you were to say hire bards in order to make the story of this,
Hmm.
and attach that to the delivery of it, like not only am I going to deliver you the crown, I'm going to deliver you a legend.
Oh, that I like that one. Yeah, I like that one.
And send a bard along with them
Right,
Yeah.
to write the
And
story and
to
all
write
that
the
kind
story
of stuff, right?
to spread the
Mm.
tale.
Okay.
So I got to go convince some bards to come with me
I mean, bards will
Mm,
do
to-
anything for
to
gold.
do this. So yeah, so find a bunch of bards because
Okay,
we
troop
not
bards.
only want him to tell the story, but we're going to have singers and dancers and things like that
Okay.
to make it a ceremony. I have also made lots of glamour weave outfits for pirates and very prestigious pirates.
Right. By the pirate
So-
lords, I'm guessing. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Pirate lords or whatever they're called. Right. So I'm going to find some of those and have them come to the party or to the ceremony.
This is really sounding like a One Piece episode that I've seen before.
Sounds like every One Piece episode.
I do.
What does the crown look like?
It's definitely has animation to it. So what would pirates? Oh, can I make it? No. Maybe it reflects his mood a little bit.
So you make an animated, mood-changing crown for the pirate king. Is delivered via a troop of bards.
Putting on a ship, a bunch of ships. He has to figure out which one. But of
Okay.
course, it's going to be the biggest ship. And it goes sailing off, and he has to go get it. And the bard follows him around and tells his story and turns it into a song as to how courageous he was when he did it.
Okay. And are you going to like put things in his way that can be part of the story then? Like,
Sure.
so you're gonna put like fake dangers like in the way to like make it.
Yeah, I think fake dangers would make more sense.
Other pirates that like you.
Oh yeah, all those pirates that that I convinced to come, they're part of the ceremony,
Yeah,
and they're
so
going
have-
to shoot things at him and stuff like that. But it's not going to be.
Okay.
I want to say they're blanks.
Okay. No,
yeah.
but they wouldn't shoot blank. They would miss on purpose. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Well,
they do it on purpose.
Large,
but
somewhat on purpose. They're either drunk, so you never know what's gonna happen. But yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So basically, you're gonna have the other pirate lords pretend to fight him and lose, basically, throughout this whole thing.
Right,
So
right.
that to establish his dominance. Okay. Very good. This is charisma.
Right.
Right. So go ahead and add that stat.
All right.
All right, Ayante, you have recently uncovered an ancient underwater ruin of what appears to be a civilized kobold society of artisans, something very much unheard of in modern days. There appears to be some sort of special door to unlock the main chamber that leads to what you believe to be a collection of highly valuable historical sculptures. What is the method you use to unlock the door, and how do you discover its secret?
Okay, well, I need to figure out how to do it without destroying anything because mechanisms are just as important to the ruins as everything else. I mean, hold on. How did these kobolds even come up with a magic?
They were far more advanced than most kobolds were, apparently. They're artisans, but usually kobolds just have sticks. So it's kind of it's truly bizarre.
Well, I'm going to assume that there's probably some instructions nearby.
Okay, looking for
I'll look-
instructions.
Yeah, look for
I
the
solved your
instructions.
riddle. I found the instruction manual.
But I'm sure there's some kind of writing. I
Yeah,
don't
there
know
is-
what the kobolds use.
Yeah,
but
there is a script that is not it's an ancient language you don't inherently know. You can decide I guess for your thing you can decipher the language. I guess it could be your thing if you want to do that, right? You can learn a whole new dead language. Just to open the door if you want, right? That can be how you discover the secret. Do you want that to be your thing?
Love learning dead languages.
Cool.
I'm just kind of picturing kobolds having kidnapped a wizard and made them do
No.
this, And the wizard is basically scribing out, like, help me in a different language kind of thing.
It's like written in between the lines. First, you stick one stick into this one hole. Please help me. And then you stick another stick into this other hole. Oh my god, they won't let me go. And then you stick a third stick into this third hole. Seriously, I've been here for a month. And then you stick a fourth, like...
The secret is actually really simple because he just put a failsafe in there, where you just like speak a certain word and it opens.
There's 7 tails on the door, and you need to click the tails in the right order.
Okay.
The failsafe is that if you get it wrong after 3 tries, it still opens. Well, if they kept getting it wrong,
Yep.
and
So
they were
instead-
mad, so they brought the wizard back.
It's like an iPhone, but instead of when you put your code in the wrong time 10 times, it deletes all your info. In this case, you put it in the wrong way 3 times, and it just opens.
It just
They
opens.
assumed that nobody would try
Feels bad
after
for
they got
you.
it wrong.
Yeah. No, that's a really good idea because most people would stop probably after
Yeah,
like 2
most-
tries. Yeah.
Most adventurers would be so paranoid at that point that
They'd be like, what's gonna happen? Yeah.
fireballs are going to rain down on my head.
So did you trigger the failsafe and you just got it wrong 3 times?
No, I'm too smart for that. I had to
Okay.
learn a whole fucking language, okay?
Okay. So you,
And then she learns about the failsafe.
Yeah, but then she's like laughing.
but you want to do it at the first time because you don't want to do that. Okay. That
Yeah,
makes
I'm a
sense.
perfectionist. I got
Yeah.
it right the first time, but I also then closed it again and then tried it 3 times.
Okay. What are you using for this? Are you using wisdom?
I guess wisdom is fine.
Okay. Also, in general, for the milk part, I will allow con if you guys just want to just be like, I just stood there and I just tried for days. Like, all right, I'll allow it.
Tried for days.
Because like con is so hard to like justify sometimes, but like con, I'll
Because
be
it
like,
doesn't have any skills associated
right.
with
So I'll
it,
be like,
right?
it's just sheer force of will. I'm gonna just be here forever until I get it. That's fine. That can be con, right? So, anyways,
Well,
you're
I
doing-
mean, I only had to do it 3 times before it opened.
yeah, that's true. You're grabbing wisdom, you said.
Yeah.
Wait, I got to tell you a story. When I was a kid and I had those combination locks, the master combination locks.
Mm-hmm.
I had one from my sister. She didn't tell me the combination, so I tried every single combination until it opened. It took me like a week, and I finally got it to open.
All right, so Bart, your assignment is to escort some unknown precious cargo through the Underdark across the Expanse by crossing what is called the Churn. This is a series of hyperspeed sea ships set on a series of underwater chain systems. This route is notorious for giant monster attacks against the sea ships and its treacherous journey. You must find a way to ward off the sea monsters and transport your cargo to safety.
Okay, so the first thing that comes to mind is Bart devises a separate ship that will act as a decoy and like bait.
Okay.
And he does a little bit of research to find out what would lure in the monster the most.
Yeah, okay. A decoy that potentially has a strong smell to it, right? That might be, if the monsters are attracted by, meat, for instance, might be like that. Or maybe there's like certain like spices or something that they're attracted to, right?
Yeah, and he's also going to use sort of like a cannon or a catapult to like launch. He's going to create like a bunch of like crates filled with the smell that would attract it, so he can like shoot it off to random. Once the decoy is gone, if the monster gets it, then he wants to be able to blast off more in case
Right.
he has to.
Yeah, okay. And so a partner to that would be then also how do you disguise your own vessel so that it's clearly not the correct one, right?
Either he's going to make it look like a rock, or he's going to make it look like a pregnant female sea monster, so it's like off limits.
Huh. You could devise like a pheromone that puts off a smell of unavailable. Is that-
Okay.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. What skill are you using for this, Bart?
I'm going to go with wisdom.
Excellent. Yeah, and you're able to successfully make this run by using your scent-based decoys and camouflage in order to make it through the churn, which is very hard to do. And you delivered your cargo successfully, and you never find out what it was. And so, Cassie, you've been stationed at a a small border town for a fortnight now, with the objective of gathering intel on a secret group of insurrectionists that supposedly passed battle plan to the tavern. A new group of about a half dozen individuals have come to town, and you believe, based on their mannerisms, that they are the group you're looking for. You need to secure the intel by any means necessary, but without anyone in the town being any the wiser.
Cassie is going to utilize her blood hunter and changeling abilities to make herself look like for basic purposes, basically the polar opposite of someone they may be on the lookout for. And she is going to try to get in good with these people.
Oh, we're trying to join. Okay.
Oh yeah. She's going to try to go full undercover. She is going to try, if they're looking for reinforcements, she's going to join up. If they're just spending nights at the tavern, she's going to be buying their rounds. She is going to try to infiltrate the group in whatever way seems to be the most readily available.
Okay. After you get the intel, what do you do? Do you leave them to their own devices, or
she's probably going to try to fake her own death at that point.
Oh.
Once she thinks she's got everything she needs.
Mm-hmm.
At which point she's just going to pick a fight with the nearest person and pretend to die.
Oh, and they're real bummed about it too. It's too bad.
Oh yeah, they're broken hearted. She was their best friend. Like they're like, oh man, we're gonna miss them. Yeah.
Using charisma, I'm assuming. Intelligence would be.
I'd prefer intelligence for this one.
Yeah, because you can get in good with them via, I would say, like, more of a. Because you're doing investigation too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're studying them and their mannerisms and kind of mimicking like the because the big thing is fitting the profile of someone they would want to recruit.
Of knowing what it is that they need.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
She's not particularly worried about charming them so much as just fitting in with what they need.
Yeah, because you don't want to come across as, because trying to charm them would probably be bad, right? Because it's too obvious, right? Yeah. But letting them come to you would work for sure, right? Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Go ahead and take your intelligent stat bump there.
Yep. I also do have the family name now as well.
Oh, excellent.
Gaudi.
Gaudi. Okay. Gaudi.
SK.
Oh my gosh. Hold on. SK. Yeah.
SKA. So it's a D with like a little slash through the top of the D.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Like.
Okay.
Thankfully, it is actually pronounced kind of how it looks. Gaudi.
Scotty.
Yep.
Like Scotty almost, right?
Like Scotty almost, except like very Nordic.
So it's Cassie Scotty?
Yes.
Okay.
And it means shadow.
Gotcha. Okay. Audric, you've been sent on a special mission to hunt down and destroy a cell of war criminal Warforged in a local town that have been hiding out. The local townspeople know of your arrival and purpose and do not wish for them to be destroyed, and they've been helpful to them at keeping the local feral wildlife at bay. However, you need to destroy the Warforged while also gain the town's favor for your cause. So the Warforged are well liked for the reason that they are helping the town, right? So there's a lot of wild beasties around that were giving them trouble until the Warforged begin to take care of them. So that is the primary reason why they are liked by the town. So potentially, if you solve that problem for them in a different way, they wouldn't be so amicable towards the Warforged, right? Or if you were to discredit the Warforged in some way and show them as not necessarily the altruistic individuals that they have been made out to be, right? That could also help as well. Turn the town against them.
So his goal is to get rid of the Warforged?
He has to destroy all the Warforged, yes.
Yeah, so Audric is gonna. I don't know. I guess I'll just take my forces in there with my dragons, and I'll destroy the Warforged, and then I'll destroy the animals that are having.
Okay.
Simple.
Yeah, I'll just destroy fucking everything and call it a strength boost. But
Okay, so
I
you're
wanna use
gonna
my-
burning land this, right? Or what do we call it? Scorched earth. Scorched earth. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. But I am gonna convince the townspeople that I'm a good guy, that everything's all right.
So how are you gonna convince them that you're a good guy if you just like obliterated like everything? It's like, how do you present this in a positive light?
Oh, it's a scary thing, but I'm gonna say I solved your Warforged problem, and I solved your beastie problem. If you need anything else, call me. And,
He leaves his card. Okay.
and I'll be at their service.
Okay, so you offer to protect them in the future, basically. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it doesn't always need to be complicated for some of these things, right? It can be very simple. All right, well, thank you guys for playing our first session of Omega Core. As strange as it was, this is definitely not traditional D&D, but I wanted to really have a chance to get into like real like legit session 0 stuff and get into the characters and make a cool way to like get stats, but it makes sense, right?
Yeah, we got to know each other a little bit better, the characters and stuff, a little bit about them. So that was good.
We'll see you all next time, which is in 2 Sundays, so Sunday after the Sunday.